Welcome to the Hole in the Head podcast. Working on old cars and motorcycles, especially the weird ones, can produce some pretty dramatic ups and downs. This week we catch Blaine in a particular mood. The once prized grail Moto Morini has presented a series of issues and mysteries that seem to be getting the better of him. So just a bit of forewarning, this episode has a bit more frustration and expletives than normal.
Okay. Hey, Blaine, we were talking before we started recording, which happens, but you're not having the best time with some projects, and I can commiserate on that.
I can't stop saying awful things about the Italians' ability to communicate about how to fix their shit. Okay? I can't stop saying it. I keep trying. It's been over 30 days, and I still can't stop questioning the stupid goddamn manual. Okay? That's it. That's all I'm going to say about it. All right? Because it is completely defeating to me. It has almost ruined my whole entire life. I don't even know if I want to wake up tomorrow. Okay? That's how mad I am about it. But let's put that aside, and let's talk about how your life is going.
Yeah, well, I feel great now. I appreciate
Oh, good.
appreciate
Oh,
you
that's
sharing.
great. Yeah, neat.
No, actually, on that front of problematic Italians, it actually sets us up for something I'd like to talk about, which spring has sprung here, or it's trying to at least. The sun, I saw some shadows the other day. It was amazing because the sun was
Yeah,
out.
there you go.
And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna get the Fiat. I think I have a Fiat 128 that I
Mm-hmm.
swapped motors out. It looks beautiful. It runs. Everything's great. I even did a kind of a shakedown test where the tie rod popped off and I went into a ditch, but I was able to. So
Yeah.
that was 3 years ago,
Okay.
or two at least. So it's been sitting in a garage since then, waiting for an actual run in. And so I thought to myself the other day, I'm gonna have that for my summer car. I'm gonna pull the Fiat out. It's
Yeah.
completely impractical. But hey, it's springtime. Let's have a fun vehicle. Pull it out of the garage, go onto the street, drive it down to Les Schwab to get an alignment done. Because again, tie rods, just want to have everything done.
Mm-hmm.
Pull into the parking lot and waiting for my turn to pull into the bay to do my alignment. And I can't pull out of the parking spot because I don't have reverse.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like suddenly, reverse is
Yeah.
just gone. Just gone.
Yeah.
And okay. So I'm under the car trying to get the linkage. Maybe something's wrong. And maybe that did it. Well, let me try it. And so I get up there and try and start it. It won't start.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe more fuel, and so working with that, and then yeah.
Yep.
Battery's
Yeah,
dead.
because you don't want to have just one obvious problem to fix at a time. You want to have
Yeah.
several, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you want it.
If they were all contingent on the other, that'd be great too. Like I couldn't fix one because of the first one. So there I am. I'm stuck in the Les Schwab parking lot, and I go into the guy. I say, "Hey man, can we just do this alignment with a dead car? I mean, it weighs 80 pounds. Do we need to? You know what I mean? Like
just push it in there. Yeah.
Yeah." And he didn't know what to do with it. I think they were kind of trepidatious about touching it in the first place, but he said, "Oh, we can't do that." So okay, so I borrowed a battery jumper and pushed it out into the street and then drove it forward the way back to the garage. And so I was at my end of my rope on that one. I almost just got an Uber home and said, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I absolutely get it. And so now I've just decided to say, you know what? I'm going to spare myself the agony on the van because the van desperately needs a new clutch throwout bearing. It pops out of gear. It needs a lot of stuff on the transmission done. And I thought, hey, that's an area that I don't have a lot of expertise in. But
so you're going to put the Fiat 128 aside.
Yeah.
And you're going to move on to the van, which is a 64.
Yeah.
What is it? 64
it's a
GMC.
64
right?
GMC. Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to say, I can't possibly deal with the disappointment of another Italian failure with the the Fiat, and you're going to hope now that the world will turn and that you will have success.
No, I know that I'm not going to have success on that van. So I took that guy down to Ed's Transmission down on North Kennedy and found the old guy.
Yeah.
And who wasn't scared of a dirty, greasy van rolling in. And it's there now. I'm ordering parts, having them sent. Like, do it for me, guys.
Okay. But you're hopeful that you're going to come get a transmission. You haven't been denied that yet, have you? Or have you? Is there no way to fix the gearbox, or is there possibly a way?
There's possibly ways. Like I could swap it out for a new one or an automatic, but no, at this point, just fix what's there.
Yeah.
And then it's done, and I don't have to worry about it.
There's a time for that, isn't there? I mean, you can always go back, I'll fix it, I'll get it out, and I'll understand it. But then there's just a time when you just figure, I cannot possibly believe I have to engage in all this detail. Let someone else just do it. But now the curious thing is that, did you find someone who really can do it?
I think so. So, I'm on the forums and I'm like, hey, I'm in Seattle. Who's here? Who can do this? But first of all, who's here who can do this? Is it worth just swapping it out, upgrading to an automatic? Like, if I'm already going to spend $500-$600, can I just source an automatic and throw it in there and be done with the whole thing? And you can do this, then you're gonna fabricate this mount and then get some cables and run your own. You know what? Let's just fix what's there. I like it as
so. What you want is just a functional 4-speed, right?
Which I don't think is a lot to ask. Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it.
But it is for the Fiat, and so I dropped the van off, so the van's being fixed, and now back to the Fiat. I'm calling the guy. There's a shop called Performance Apex here in somewhere Pacific Northwest, and they rebuilt the engine in the first place. So I thought, you know what?
Okay,
I'm just gonna pull out of savings and get these things done.
Yeah.
So I called the guy, and he's like as optimistic and giving of his time and knowledge as anyone that I've met in that. Like, he was just, no, this is what you got to do. Get under there with the vice grips, do here, and here. So now I'm very inspired to give it a shot.
So he's thinking that an adjustment in the linkage is going to somehow get you to be able to get this thing into reverse.
He says X, Y, and Z are known failures or known issues when you rebuild an engine. Go ahead and do X, Y, and Z to fix those things, and then we'll talk.
But he's speaking about the transmission when he's saying that.
Correct. Linkages,
but he's not speaking to the fact that it wouldn't start, and that it.
That's just dead. That's dead battery. No, I think that's just, easy.
Well, let's not. Yeah. That's nothing.
Well, by the way, which blew out my alternator. Which all that. So knock on wood, easy enough. But I'm a little bit hopeful around that.
So there's a possibility that you'll get it to go into reverse.
It's a possibility that I will have a functioning summer car in the Fiat.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help you in your Morini situation, but
no. I'm going to stick things in my eyeballs until all of a sudden I decide which is more painful. But in your case, I think you're going to be successful. I think you're going to be able to drive around with a nice little cup of coffee in between your legs and a little like a apple what's that little Danish called? Like a fritter. You can have a little apple fritter, and you're going to drive around with your little coffee drink. Yeah, and you're going to go, look at me drive. I'm driving my summer car, and then I'm going to go down and check on my van, and my van's going to be ready, and then I'm going to drive it out and camp alongside a river somewhere, and just reflect on how lovely my life is.
You're so angry at that Morini right now. You did. Well,
I can't possibly put the anger away. I just can't. I can't. Okay. I know I should be able to.
Well, let me ask you this then. Let's think about another area of interest of having a success, right? Like, where have you had success in selling stuff?
Yeah. All right now, I can't. I know I should, but all I can focus.
You can't even focus on
the pain. No. I don't give a fuck about one other thing other than getting that goddamn Moto Morini to run long enough so it can belong to somebody fucking else. Okay, that's just where I am. I'm sorry. And the thing is, there are other things I've persevered other problems in my life and been able to solve them. Sometimes there's been a few things I've tried to fix in my life that I was the only one that figured out. Okay, and then I think, look at me. That was good. I went after that because I solved it. I reclaimed it. So I have brought some things back into this world. This one, however, I wish it could just go off of a fucking cliff. But what I need is for someone to give me $3,000 fucking dollars that I lost on it, so that I can afford to push it off a cliff into somebody else's truck or down to the bottom of a ravine and somebody else can collect it, or something like that can possibly happen. But what can't happen is for that thing to sit in my goddamn shop for another fucking minute and look at me and not know which way to set up the fucking valve timing.
God, I just hate that for you. I want you to have success on that Morini.
That's sweet. That's so sweet of you. Is there anything else that's very happy in your life you'd like to talk about?
I got the Ducati going pretty good.
Well, tell me all about that. Start from the top.
Well, I think it's worth a little trip down to Tucson area and putting our heads together on that Morini. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, to be totally honest, apart from the exceeding amount of anger that I have, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think if you came and you had a look, you might immediately see it or see it shortly, or just someone else. But after I've just been in it and on it and in it and on it and nothing works, and I keep about half the time I do the same thing I tried last time, and it's still I cannot seem to get it to line up right. And so I think it's 50% chance that you would look at it and go, oh, it's this. Great. I would take it. But even then, I would say, good. Now take that thing to fuck off my property, and you can either sell it or give it to somebody else. But I do not ever want to have this kind of experience again where, let me just review. Okay, let me just fucking review for you for a minute. The fact that the Italian manual tells me where to set it. The American manual tells me somewhere different. On the website, they have two different ideas about how it should be set up, and no one can be absolutely clear. Okay, you're the only one I've heard of that has a clear idea about where you think it goes. You're the only one. Everybody else is out to make sure that my life becomes completely meaningless. All right? That's what everybody else is about. You're the only one that cares that something decent might happen for me. Does that seem overly intense?
It's a little, but what's fucked up is if it were anybody else, I would say, okay, what's going on really? But no, I think that's really what's going on with you. I think that the Marini's just eating your lunch.
Yeah. I don't have other emotional problems or family things that are building up tension somewhere, or all of a sudden I just can't take it. And this is the one thing that pushed me over the edge because I got conflict everywhere else. You know what? I don't have anything that worries me. I live a happy, wonderful life in the middle of the desert, except for that one fucking Moto Morini who cannot possibly communicate to me what the truth is about where the goddamn valve timing should be.
All right. Well, maybe that's a question. Okay. Maybe that's a question we can ask. But
well, let's look forward to that when you come down. I'll buy you a Danish, maybe.
Apple fritter.
An apple fritter. Maybe I'm sure you prefer something fancier than that because you're a fancier guy than I am.
Is it organic?
No. This is made and sold at a gas station.
Hey, you know what I really do miss? Speaking of gas station apple fritters, are those little fruit pockets. The fruit apple fritter things in a little wax pack you get from a gas station. Do you don't remember those?
I don't know. I do not know what that is. No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so next time, skip the good and plenties and grab an apple fritter in the wax pack. It's by the donuts and the zingers and all that.
I don't recall ever seeing an apple fritter.
Cinnamon apple.
Anyway,
they're not like bear claw apple fritters. They're like turnovers. Yeah. Apple turnovers. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, FYI.
Well, I would like to have anything that would take some of the pain away from my life.
So I'm having a good time with my Italian. But
let's just keep going. Is there anything else that you're cruising through to success on? Because I would love to hear it. Tell me about it.
Maybe it's because it's exactly half as many cylinders. So, the problems are actually no. I'm not having a good time. I'm having I'm not having a fuck this, throw it in the garbage time. To be fair, like I'm still like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm still chasing things optimistically. So,
Well, good for you. I'm so
good for
glad.
me.
Let's talk about
So
it. Let's talk
the
about it.
Ducati, goddamn, the Ducati 350 that was so
Yep.
hard won with that cylinder, right? So I got
Yes.
everything in, got it all together. Runner,
Right.
but I don't know about your Ducatis. Yours are not Dehmlows, they're spring valves, right?
They are not Dehmlows. That's correct.
Okay,
I have
so
a 60,
same.
60, a 64 and a 67 is the two that I have.
Okay, so
Yeah.
mine's a spring valve as well.
Okay.
And there's a certain amount of tappy, clicky loudness from the top end that's to be expected. Right?
Right.
Those are loud
Yep.
engines. But when I get this 350 running, there's a it's like a clack, 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 clack. I mean, it is a clanging that sounds like the engine's going to explode, but it runs fine.
Right.
And so I can't. It sounds extreme compared to the other, certainly to the 250 that I have, say.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in the shop, I was in the garage last night. Let's set the valves, right? So I'm in there looking at the valves, in and out valves, and there's no screw tappets. These are
Yes.
valve shims, little bucket
Yep.
shims. And then I
Yeah.
realized, like, I never set the valve clearances on this. And so, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, it ran anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
playing around. One of them is really, really tight. The other one's kind of sloppy. And I'm playing around and, swap the buckets, but there's such a difference between the shims. And so I ended up just taking the valve tappets and swapping those.
Okay.
So I put the in on the out and whatever,
Yep. Yep.
and made the clearances much more aligned. Runs better, arguably, but it's still really loud.
Yeah.
And so what I'm dreading is that it's like the crank, I don't know, a bearing or something at the bottom of the rod, that's loud. It sounds like it's lower in the
Mm-hmm.
cylinder. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit worried about that, pessimistic around that, but I don't know that I'm ready to throw it in the trash yet. But it is very frustrating to have gone this far and then have to go back down to the lower end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's no doubt that. I mean, there's only there's only so many things it can be. I mean, right? I mean, you're going to get it. It's just a matter of whether or not, on how many different days can you put the time in and not have it get resolved. It's like there's probably something for us to talk about in general about how you approach a legitimate problem solving trial by error, situation where you just got to keep moving through something until you find it, because I understand that there really is no, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't think that there's an actual entity alive in the universe that is trying to make sure that my life seems so completely meaningless at the hands of this Morini. And I don't think that the same thing is happening to you with anything that you're facing. I believe there are very simple little things that have to be considered and corrected in order for it to run properly, because there's a pretty narrow window about what makes a motor engine or a motor and engine run properly. Right. I mean, It just is. It's got to have the right timing. It's got to have air. It's got to have spark. I mean, all these things. It isn't like there's this huge variety of options, but I don't know. Are you ready to
But I would say, but
begin
it
and
turns
go
out
backwards? Because it's a series of going backwards is what's hard to swallow.
yeah, but it turns out there are other things. And I think that's what's frustrating because you get those core, time, suck, squeeze, bang, blow. You get the time, you get the fuel, you get the
Yep.
air, and you
Yep.
get all that dialed in, and it should be right. But there's something that's idiosyncratic to that particular engine or whatever for that year of engine and and so that's the frustrating part where you can't get a straight answer, and I feel you on
I
that.
think I think that really, if I were to trace the again, we don't need to be talking about my feelings. We want to talk about your feelings, and your success that you're bound to have with your Ducati. And what I think is that once the right information is provided to you, you're totally capable of using it to be successful.
You just don't have that
Right?
information.
I don't have that information, and like how, what have I missed? Again, we're back to me. Sorry, back to you. You're going to get it. It's going to be just fine. I do think like I have had a little bit of setback in doing the valves before, where actually the on the last Ducati that I put together, the oldest one, I had to grind those little valve shims. So I don't know if you've ever seen a grinder for doing valve shims. My buddy happened to have one, and boy, it is the slickest thing ever. You just go over there and you put it in this little fixture, and it's just got this grinding wheel that comes down almost like a cutting wheel, and you just kind of wind it up. You get total precision because you can do it by the thousandths. Slowly move it in, and then you just bring that thing down and go. You just make one nice little skim, go back and put it in. If it's not it, you make a nice little skim, and pretty soon you have it perfect.
Done.
So. Yeah, so it can be very, very fulfilling when you have a chance to do that. I've also had to do it where I just took the shim and put it on a piece of glass over a piece of emery paper, and then you rub it back and forth, just
going,
try to get something. Yeah, just try to get something off of it, because you only got just a very little bit to skim off there. But anyway, so I've had some success in kind of getting that all set up and go right, but I haven't had anything else to suspect in the bottom end that I remember. So I don't know if there's something clearly obvious when you take it apart, or if it's going to be a little bit of a hunt to see what it is, what's making the knock,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. But at least right now, I'm holed up in my little tiny garage, and that actually fits. And so I can't actually move that one out until I finish it. So
yeah,
it might be that I just like screw it, put it back in storage, pull something else back in. But on that note of having someone with a shim grinder, of all the things, how specific, a valve shim grinder, right? Like
I think, yeah, I know. It's funny is that obviously I don't have one, but when I use this one, I think among motor guys that there's lots of vehicles that have valve shims. Shim and bucket is very, very common, and so being able to skim those things it's a nice little benchtop piece. It's about as big as two of our little laptops here together, and there's a place to put it, hook everything up, and it's kind of an adorable little machine. And I think sometimes you can get those, because obviously the world's turning away from anybody doing this kind of stuff. So there's only guys like us that care about this. But I think you can find a little machine, a little valve grinder deal, for a couple $100, and then you have it, and then now you can set up all the valve shims in your life. Anyway, it can be done. I'm sure you'll get there. But it is kind of cool that there is a little valve grinder out there.
Well, it's funny because I think about like there was once upon a time where having a multimeter or calipers or a bullet terminal crimper was like exotic tools. Like, God, I don't have that. I need to go get one.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's funny. Yeah. No, there's these things that you work around your whole life. It's just like, well, okay, I'm on the brink of another thing that probably make me even more angry. But I have to change a power steering box seal on my Land Rover Discovery. And in order to do that, I've got to take the pitman arm off. And the seal is fairly straightforward to replace. And then what you usually do is you replace the seal, then you find out, okay, the whole box got to come out because you got to rebuild the box. But we all start with this $30 seal and a lot of hope that might be enough. Right. So I'm going to start there. It's not going to be, it's going to fuck me. But nonetheless, I'm going to start there and see if we can kind of be all right with it. And then I've always just used a pickle fork. You put that wedge fork in there and you beat the hell out of it with a sledgehammer, and then it pops up part of ball joint because I need to take off a ball joint. And then there's a separate little puller for the pitman arm. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, wait a second, there's this, for $20, there's this nice little ball joint separator that you just hook up.
Oh, yeah, and spread it. Yeah.
You just pop. It just comes off so sanely instead of being under there with a sledgehammer trying to separate that. And the funny thing is that I've successfully separated maybe 87 to 90 ball joints in my lifetime. I've taken off with the sledgehammer, and it only costs $20 to take them off with the separator. That's completely sane and proper.
Yeah, you won't break a sweat.
Only an idiot would use the or where you're stuck in the middle of nowhere or whatever. Only, why would you use a pickle fork when all you need is a $20 gear puller? But for years I've done it the other way, and now I'm going to go buy myself a nice little gear puller and change that seal tomorrow because I got a seal coming in, and I'm going to change it and put it in. And for 15 minutes, I'm going to hope it doesn't leak because it only goes through a quart about every 30 minutes. So,
well, you're going to get it, and the seal's going to go in. You're going to have a great success, and you're going to go for a ride somewhere. Yeah.
That's easy to say because you're not as suicidal as I am, but I certainly appreciate. I so appreciate the compassion and the hope. I mean, you're giving me everything a person like me need. You're giving me what I need to get through it. But I can tell you, if you give me everything I need to get through it, it's still not enough because I'm so fucking angry beyond the pale.
Here's an idea. Here's an idea.
Okay.
And,
great.
And I hope that I don't want to like meet your problems with ideas. I think that's called mansplaining. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not saying, hey, here's what you should do. You know, I'm gonna say like I say to my wife, I'm just gonna say that sucks.
Yes.
And leave it alone. That sucks, man.
But tell me if there's something you know of that I can try.
No, I think it's okay. So have you gotten any mail lately?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you get?
Well, I got a box, and in it was a mug. And I want to say again, what a lovely surprise it is to get a mug in a box. However, I haven't drunk anything out of a mug for 27 years because I don't drink coffee or anything that goes in a mug. But I was so happy to receive a mug because it was a thoughtful gift from someone. And then I noticed upon it is an aerial photo or aerial logo. And we both have aerial projects that we're going to go ahead and get into. And I don't think I'm going to be as horribly disappointed as I am now. Because I expect that this one is mine is a complete go through everything.
I'm so glad I didn't send you the Morini one. Because would they have Morini mugs as well?
No, I would have crushed it and sent it back to you. You just said, don't ever send me this. I don't want to see anything that even looks like a Morini logo. But anyway, the aerial logo I love. And I still believe that it's not out to ruin my life. And so I'm looking forward to whenever that project starts. But I know that in my case, it's absolutely complete because I bought just not quite enough parts to make one. And so, and it's all beat up. So, I mean, I'm expecting a full, tear apart and put together to make anything out of it. So I don't have a lot of expectations, I should say, for that coming together quickly. But that's just something that I can go out and work on. And occasionally, well, and I would say most of the time, I have enjoyed these long process projects, because I just keep chipping away at it. So I don't think that's over for me for the rest of my life. It's just that the Moto Morini can fuck itself for the rest forever. I mean,
We'll send you a Morini t-shirt. Well, maybe that's
let me just say one more thing about the Moto Morini if I could.
Okay.
Everything about the goddamn motor is brand new. Everything. Okay. I mean, the bottom end is new bearings in the bottom end, new pistons, new rings, new valves. Everything hard part in the motor is new. Everything is perfect. It had assembly lube on it when I first opened it up and began to wonder what's wrong. All the proper parts are there. And it mocks me. It just sits back and says, what can I keep out of his reach that he can't intellectually grasp? What can I do? So there is an entity behind it in this one. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna figure it out. So with that mug, I would hope that you can take some honey, maybe put it in a little hot water.
Yeah.
And just have yourself a little sip.
Something comforting is what you're saying?
And just know that you're an aerial owner, even though you haven't touched one yet. You're an aerial square 4 owner, and that's just in the line of it's in the queue.
Yeah,
and that feels good.
1951 Mark I. Yeah, I can't wait to get to work on it, and I believe that there's, I would imagine that out of one, and let's say the next 365 days, there'll be one day that won't be full of absolute misery, and I hope that's related to the aerial project.
Yeah. It's a test of your metal and your devotion to, hey, you work in a Greece cathedral. One's faith in the Greece, I don't know, whatever the
Yes,
metaphor
I
is.
know.
You got it. Yeah. You've done this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Well, no, this one I've been defeated. I'm clearly defeated. So,
all right, I'm gonna look up one-way tickets to Tucson. And
come out to Tucson and look at it for me. Yeah, because I am completely baffled.
well, so one last thing is I've had this Hank in the van.
Oh, but by the way, thank you for the mug. That was very kind of you.
You're welcome. Glad you're a la Moto mugs. They're really I was gonna send you a Morini one. I was this close to sending you a Morini one as a congratulations for finishing the Morini.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm glad we avoided that. But in the meantime, I'm going to use the mug. I'm going to keep all of my feeler gauges in the aerial mug.
There you go.
Little thing to keep there, right there on my toolbox.
It's a pencil holder with a handle.
So I love it, and I love you. Okay, I want to be clear about that.
Fair enough. Appreciate it. Well, so the van I sent to the transmission place, very specifically, meaning if I'm going to spend money on a thing, go ahead and spend money on the thing that I already have, get it fixed, have Ed do it. You know what I mean? And be done with it, because I can't stop looking for early 50s Studebaker and international trucks. I don't know why. I have a Tacoma. I have a 64 van. But I just really want one of those old round body Stud trucks. They look like giant toy trucks.
I think those early Studebakers, especially the ones that like I kind of gravitate towards the 1-ton trucks of the period because they have those neat Bud wheels on them. You know, they don't have the slotted Bud wheels that I love. Hard to find tires for and hard to change tires with. But anyway, I love the looks of those by far. And so the higher capacity trucks from that area, like the half tons and the 3/4, I don't even know if they had a 3/4 ton or a half ton truck. I don't know how they were rated in those days, but I know that they had 1 and 1.5 tons. And like I have a Dodge 1.5 ton.
That's right.
But yeah, those old trucks are just so simple. Well, I hate to say that because I've obviously been mocked by a Moto Morini motorcycle. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. Two cylinder. If it wasn't so easy to make me feel stupid, I would say that a Studebaker is possible to make it run, and they are so cool looking. And I think that driving it around with that original little 6-cylinder engine in it would just be a treat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm really interested in a flathead. You know, I looked at flathead V8s, but it just at a certain point, like that's a lot, you know, and you start to get spendy, and just a straight 6 flathead. But as I'm looking, I realized, you know, a project is in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Yeah, lots of field finds. Yep.
Plus about a 6-hour drive, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
One way. And so I thought, I can't justify that. I cannot justify that with a van that needs work.
Right.
And so getting all these things, the Fiat, the van, the Ducati, getting all them sorted, done, maybe even ready to sell is the current goal.
Yep.
So, because I want to go buy a Stud free and clear.
Okay, but guess what? This is the big dilemma, right? Because we all know we should finish what we have.
Yeah.
But what's out there that you don't have yet seems so compelling, and it seems like it's going to be the deal of the century, and you're never going to find it again, and that you have to go ahead and extend yourself and take the risk to acquire it, knowing full well that you have plenty of other projects in front of it. But when you love something like that, you have to do it, right?
Yeah, well, but I mean, again, the universe lets you know what's time to do what, you know. I found something in Montana. I found 2 in Montana. Oddly enough, one of them is in Huson, Montana, which is about 50 miles south of the Flathead Reservation, by the way.
Crazy. Yep, crazy coincidence.
I was ready to get in the truck and stop by U-Haul on the way out there this morning. But my daughter has a thing this weekend that I cannot miss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want to be there kind of thing. So it's like, okay, finish the van, finish the Fiat, and then see what the universe provides.
Well, can I tell you what the universe has provided?
What?
Okay, please look up a 1940 Diamond T pickup.
1940 Diamond T pickup. Now, is there a Diamond engine? Something? Diamond is a thing?
That's the International used to categorize their engines as, I think they had like a Blue Diamond engine. That's what they called their International.
Oh,
Okay, but this is a completely different make of pickup. It's called the Diamond T. It's ultra
okay.
special. It's the best looking vintage pickup ever produced.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah, it looks great.
You see how? Yeah, they just look incredible. In their day, they had a 100,000 mile warranty on the engine. In their day, they did that.
Wow.
Okay, they were just good, super high quality commercial grade trucks, and just the best of the best. And they really put design work into them, because you can see how special they look. So I don't know who's listening. Look up these Diamond T pickups, and you'll find that up until about 1950, they had just impeccably beautiful styling. Right. So
Yeah.
ask me why I brought that up.
Why did you bring that up?
Well, I already have one. All right. So
Okay.
I have one here ready to restore and ready to go with a new engine in it. All right. So I've got a Diamond T. I mean, this is like one of the holy grail things that you'd like to have, right? I mean, I have it. But guess what I found?
What?
I found three more of them in a field in Phoenix, Andy. Three more of them. And now I want you to look at it, because I'm pretty sure you need a Diamond T.
I might need a Diamond T because that grill is amazing.
It's the most
Like the whole
amazing
front
looking.
end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look at how special a
Man,
Diamond T looks.
is there a listing for them or is this a guy of the
No,
guy?
it's a Facebook listing. I got a message into the guy. He's got three of them in different stages sitting there. And now, again, this could be a scam. All right, because we both looked at. I don't know about you, but I've looked at Facebook stuff or Craigslist before, gotten committed to it, only to find out that it was never real. So that happens
Yeah.
a certain amount of times. Okay, so and in this case, could be legit. I got a message into the guy yesterday, but there's three different models of Diamond T. Two look like the commercial grade pickups, and one of them looks like a 1.5 commercial truck. Um, and and you'll probably notice too, if you look at some of the ones that are finished, the Diamond T's command quite a nice little price.
Yeah.
So a finished Diamond T is not a bad truck to have, and probably easy. I don't know if it's easy to sell if that many people like it, but they're a bit more expensive than, like, if you restore a Dodge pickup and you restore a Diamond T. The Diamond T has less people that are interested in it, but they'll pay more for it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can easily turn, if you were to restore one, you're probably 30 to 25 to 35,000 solid on a Diamond T pickup. And I think that's going to continue to hold and get better financially, because there's not that many of them, but they're just the most beautiful looking vintage pickup. They came with a 6-cylinder motor that just notoriously ran forever.
Mm-hmm.
The only one drawback in all of the vintage pickups that I see is that I think even up until 1955 or 56, commercial grade trucks were rated at 45 miles an hour. They figured that's the right speed for a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all cruise beautifully at 45. At 55, you're wringing its neck.
Yeah.
And so there's something has to be. So usually people are going to change out the rear end, or get an overdrive or whatever. But so to make it ultimately cruisable at 60, 65, you're going to probably have to mess with something to bring it into that category. And I think that would be true with an early International or a Studebaker as well. But I don't.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, I think it might have been the late 50s that all of a sudden the trucks could go 55 or 60. The gearing was changed, and it allowed for that. So
Yeah, that's the drawback that I have, or hesitancy I have around the Studebaker right now, is because where we live in Seattle, it's just not, jump on the highway ready. You know what I mean?
yeah, yep,
I'd rather have it in Oklahoma where 45, 50 is a good, just kind of go into town speed.
yeah.
But
But now you need to consider the Diamond T possibility.
Oh, I'm open to it. I just really like that era, late 40s, early 50s,
Yes.
even late 50s. Just the simplicity of it. Everything was so big and sort of, you know, lots of sheet metal. But the
Yes.
drawback of that is that, it's usually dinged and banged up and whatever. But
Yeah,
food
but
for
but
thought.
what's nice about it is that you can decide where to go with it. The truth is, I think I could probably live with one that went 45, 50 miles an hour, even if I was going to drive it out to your house in Oklahoma. Just slow down, get
Yeah.
my aerial mug, full
Hmm.
of a nice drink, get my apple fritter and put it on the
Yeah.
seat next to me, and just go 50 miles an hour. Who cares?
Yeah. You get there when you get there.
You get there when you get there. It doesn't have to be an interstate cruiser.
Well, okay. Well, send me
But but
links.
but but I'll just say mine is because I have an overdrive in mine. So sorry.
You already have an overdrive in yours. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it all right, it is on okay, now I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole. I appreciate that. I'm not gonna get anything else done today. I
Well,
was
this is
really trying to I was ready. Like I was ready. What is today?
yeah.
Thursday. I was gonna leave this morning and say, okay, I've got to be back. Her game is at 9 on Saturday. No, I could leave after her game, and then I could be back for Monday. And then if this does, I'm like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
dude, and then just calm down. Just go work on the Ducati. Shut up.
No,
You'll be all right.
it's clear that both of us should spend the next $5,000 on our own junk getting it to work. But yet we're looking at these
Yes.
Diamond T's thinking, let's get these. And
Let's
I already
get let's
have
get
one, but I'm
yeah.
thinking about getting another.
Let's get things that are a complete different skill set, tool set, muscle
Yeah,
memory.
yeah.
Yeah. And that take
Yeah.
up the most room possible of all
Yeah,
the
that has to
consumer
be
vehicles. Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna need a commercial vehicle just to get it home.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I could tow one with the Acadia.
Well, I do think that if you want to buy a Diamond T's together, that you can come to Phoenix, pick it up, and then just bring it down here, and we'll work on them and see if we can make them drivable.
I do have at some point I I do have a one-way ticket drive it home type trip in me.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I really want to
totally.
do one of
Yep.
those. And I think that if whether it's motorcycle or car, at the end of it, like there's a couple Ducati ST2s in Northern
Hmm.
California that are gonna get me home. I'm not worried about them, but
Right.
it's still the thing of flying there, and I probably make it back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we talked about. Is I want to go to England to try to buy a Douglas uh, motorcycle, and it's a big risk because can I fix it and make it run while it's there? Because I want to ride it around and ship it home. But there's something about the expedition that I desperately want to do. And I love the idea of going out. Like I looked at a dump truck 2 weeks ago up in this old mining claim. I thought, I'm going to buy a dump truck uh, because, I got
Yeah.
to drive. My driveway needs gravel, and I'm going to buy a dump truck. And went and looked at one, and it just was going to be, I'm going to have to camp out here for 3 weeks while I fix this truck, and it's like, I can't spend $3,000 on a motel, a cheap, terrible motel in a little town while I try to fix a truck, so it really is, it's an impacted situation if you go out to try to recover a motorcycle or car, because you're like, I've only got 2 or 3 days that I can really afford to mess with this thing before I try to get it home,
Yeah.
because you just drive up all the expenses. So all of a sudden this great find, all of a sudden you're about matching the price of the find just in logistics to go out there and work on it and
You could
make
have
it come
bought
alive.
it
So
down the street. Yeah.
yeah. So all of a sudden your $3,000 truck, you're 6,000 into it. But on the other hand, I think it's worth it to do that rather than to buy the one for 6,000 that already runs, because look at what you learn and what you adventure that you have. You just can't let it go like the Moto Morini did, where it got into my soul and killed me.
Well, I think the
So
argument could be made that the other side of that is you have a different emotional attachment to it. And I don't think that's
that's
all
correct.
good.
That's right.
It's not all
Yes.
good
Yes.
because I have a garage full of stuff that is relatively commonplace,
Yeah.
but I got it for a really good price and I got it in a way that is meaningful. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know that I'd get rid of it because I can't buy that same thing again. You know what I mean? Or certainly
Yes.
not in the same way. So it's tricky.
Yeah, or are there those things that like you've had the buy of a century before, right? You know, you
What do you mean?
just got something. You've had something that you bought that was like, I cannot believe the deal I got, right? You know,
Yes.
you've had that
Yes.
happen, and that brings such a lasting joy. And that, you know, it's just like, I can't believe the good fortune, you know, that the universe is willing to share this with me. And it's like, wow, you
Yeah.
know, and you can that can just be, you can live off of that forever, you know.
Yeah.
So that feeling is just profound and is fun, and you got to have that once in a while, you know,
Especially when
as
it's
opposed to
well, especially when it's narrowly won.
yes,
Like you it was on Craigslist for a while, but somehow you were the one that the guy answered.
yes,
Or you know what I
yes,
mean? That kind, you were the first there or something, whatever.
yep.
Um,
Okay, here, let me real quick. I'm going to tell you the best one I ever found in my life. I'll just do it in 2 minutes.
yeah.
19, I don't know, 70, somebody 72, 73, 74 BMW, advertised sitting beside somebody's house in California, wants $100 for it. So I call on it thinking that's a misprint or it's whatever. And the guy goes, yeah, I want $100 for that. So what can you tell me about it? He goes, it belonged to my sister. She bought it new. And then I wrote it. It's got 21,000 miles on it. It's that copper penny color, whatever, which is the best looking color. And,
Mhm.
and they said, and it ran fine. We just parked alongside the house, and now the seat's rotten, you know, and it's cosmetically terrible, you know, but I'm going to need $100 for that. And so I respond to him by going, well, I can, you know, here's what I'm saying. Yeah, that sounds fine. You know, I appreciate that. And, but what's really happening inside is, oh my God, I'm going to get a BMW for $100. And so while he's just kind of explaining things to me, I'm walking out, getting in the car, right? I'm clicking on the belt, and I'm trying to be so casual. Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, okay. I'd like to see it. Are you around today? And I'm already driving toward the town. Right. And then he goes, yeah, you can stop by today. Okay. Yeah. It just so happens I'm going to be in the area, you know, so I appreciate it.
About
Yeah. So
15 minutes. Yeah.
and I just go straight fucking there, 90 miles an hour. I park in the driveway. I walk in there, and he's talking to me, wants to tell me everything about it. And he's still talking to me. And I just pull out this $100, and I go, yeah, yeah. Well, I sure appreciate the chance to deal with you, you know. And I'm thinking he's going to say, oh, no, this is a mistake. It's $1,000. Right. And he takes the 100, goes, okay, yeah, thanks. You want me to help you load it up? I go, yes, I do. And we go, we put it on the trailer. And then I raced out of there because I thought for sure he's going to take it back. He can't
Yeah.
possibly sell me this. It was a very nice R750, you know, R75, excuse me, in that copper penny color, whatever, that I really like. 28,000 miles, $100. I never forget how wonderful that felt. But also, did I take advantage of the guy? Should I have told him?
You probably could
You
have
know, I
gave him
mean,
two. Yeah.
yeah, I should have given him more than that. Should I have? But hey, he's the one that said $100 in my clean side yard is what I want in life, and I gave it to him.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
how
think
do you stop doing that, right? And
yeah. Yeah.
if that happens 1 in 100 times, I'm going to try it 99 times to see if that happens again.
Yeah. I think the van was the one that happened because it was listed, and you were with me. It's
Oh,
listed
that was a killer buy. I was so
for
glad you
like
got that.
$1,200 or something in the garage or whatever, and we went and looked at it. And then at that point, we were having pizza. We all wrapped
Yeah,
up, and
yeah,
we're like, okay, let's
yeah.
get some pizza on the way home. And called the guy back, and I said, you know what? Or before I called him, I said, if I get it, I get it, but I don't want to pay more than like $300.
Which
Like,
seemed
I mean, which is
like an
stupid.
unrealistic offer. Yeah, yeah.
That was me saying I'm scared of buying this, and so
Yes.
I'm gonna lowball it so much that I know he's gonna say no, and then I'll be off the hook in front
Yeah.
of these guys. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And so I called him and said, "Hey, I think I don't think I could do more than like $300, you know." And I realized, and he said, "Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah.
I said, "Really?" He said, yeah, yeah, come get it. When do you want to come? Tomorrow?" And okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so. So that next morning I had to go to U-Haul, and y'all help me
Yeah,
load it
yeah.
up. But yeah, that was a good deal. It's like, I don't okay. And I love that thing. It's like the
Yeah. That was such a nice buy, and that's such a nice project you have there. But the feeling of acquiring a project is, you know, I guess it's for me because let me go back to my deep psychological problems for a moment. I think I was raised by poor dad, not rich dad. Right? You know that distinction, right? So I
I know
wrote
of it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, I can almost never, in my mind, I'm always trying to leverage the fact that I probably don't have quite enough money to finish this project, but I want it anyway. But when you get something, your great deal, all of a sudden you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to order $3,000 worth of shit right now for it. And I'll be so far ahead. I mean, I'll actually finish one and it'll pay dividends. And then and the picture you have in your mind, yeah, can you just see me, parked at the beach, sitting inside, looking out the windshield and, just enjoying my time there, having a little something to drink and thinking about the things I want to think about and watching the sunset and then making a little hot dog outside, or you'd make some real fancy,
Sure.
something fancy on the fire,
fancy,
yeah.
Something with goat cheese in it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you'd have something very complicated. I'd have a hot dog on the fire. Anyway, all of a sudden you just instantly go from field find that needs a lot of work to you start to make historic progress. Just nothing but progress, because you order and fix and order and fix and order and fix with the idea that someday it's going to take you somewhere. And that is just the most lovely feeling a gear guy can have, is making progress and having success.
Yeah.
Which is completely beyond my reach now because of that goddamn Moto.
Well, all right. Well, go back to it. Okay. Go fix it real quick, and we'll talk later.
I feel strangely better having vented to you. Thank you for the call.
I'm happy to. I want you to enjoy some hot water and lemon. That works wonders.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Don't worry, he'll be okay. Check back next week for project updates and some news. Follow along on the socials at holeinthehead Moto. Or you can send an email to actually@holeintheheadpod.com. Want your own aerial mug? Check out alamotomugs.com and use the code actually for 10% off. That's ALAMOTOmugs.com and checkout code actually. This podcast is produced and edited by Hole in the Head Moto. We'll see you next time.